Good evening, and welcome back to Hux Media. ITV Regions, a method used to split the country into having their own television networks, each with its own news, weather, presenters, and of course, branding. Thames, the network responsible for broadcasting to the areas encompassing Greater London, became one of the most recognisable and well-known regional networks since its creation in 1968. During the mid-80s, the Thames region was seeing improvements in technology. This sounds like it would benefit the company, although this was the cause of a major dispute. This is the Thames strike of 1984. ITV in the 1980s were not a newcomer to having to deal with industrial action. Just 4 years earlier, the strike of 1979 happened, shutting down all networks in the entire country for 11 weeks, and resulting in probably the largest strike in television history. This relates to the Thames strike in more than one way, however, as the 79 dispute was initially carried out by Thames employees, and both disputes were arranged by ACTT, a union protecting technicians, especially in television and film. Thames management and ACTT had many negotiations over new rosters put in place for technicians working in Thames Central Transmission Facility, or CTF. The CTF being incredibly important, as that's what allows the programmes to be broadcast. On Monday, the 27th of September 1984, news broke out. After ACTT voted for the CTF workers to strike, the dispute began. But what did this mean for the average viewer of Thames television? Everyone viewing in the Thames region would tune in and see a simple blue caption card, cast by IBA, as the technical team had walked out. It read, "IBA, London. We are sorry that we cannot bring you programmes today. There is an industrial dispute. We will give you further information as soon as we can." To some, this was the only thing ITV broadcast in an entire week, ending finally when, after more meetings, the union agreed to the new roster. Normal television for Thames resumed on the 3rd of September.
Good afternoon, this is Thames from London, back with you again, and nice to be back. We've got a full day's programmes for you, as scheduled, including the British television premiere of Star Trek The Motion Picture. That's tonight at 7:30, but this is what the time is now. Well, as you can see, it's just coming up to 1 o'clock. In 20 minutes' time, we have the Thames News. But first of all, we go over to ITN for the latest national and international news.
With Thames on the air again, there were still franchises affected by the strike. You see, back in the day, the adverts meant to air on Channel 4 were routed through Thames's signal. This meant that Channel 4 wouldn't air any advertising. Because both stations shared a transmitter, ACTT initially made plans to black out Channel 4's ad breaks entirely. This was soon disapproved by IBA, although the union was having none of it. Other regions, such as Central, Border, Grampian and Ulster, blocked Channel 4's advertising. This was because ACTT asked those franchises to black out the ad breaks. There was another strike shortly after, on October 17th, where the service was briefly managed. The schedules for programming were briefly changed, and viewers in the Thames region were greeted by another blue screen. This strike actually lasted significantly longer, being resolved on the 3rd of November. Programming started up again on the 5th. The second half of 1984 sure was an unfortunate period for ITV in terms of industrial action. Even though the strikes were only done by Thames employees, they did affect the entire country. And with that, I feel it's appropriate for this video to come to an end. I really hope you enjoyed tonight's programming, and please tune in next week for more. As always, I've been Hux Media, wishing you all a very good night. Good night.